We are in Central Florida tonight, where a huge series of six-pointers around the playoff line begins this evening in Osceola Heritage Park. An Orlando side looking to overcome a recent sputter hosts a New York City side that is resurgent in the Eastern Conference table. And speaking of the Eastern Conference standings, here is your look at things entering the match week here. You see New York currently in the top 5 after an unbeaten June and July. Recent wobbles results-wise, but still in the playoff spots. Orlando with work to do. They're 5 points off playoff pace, but very few points separate these two teams, just 6, and they meet twice in the next 10 days. So a crucial series of battles here. Orlando enters tonight coming with 1 win in their last 10 matches. They are desperate to get back in the win column tonight against a New York squad that has no intentions of dropping recent form. Here's your look at the Orlando 11. 2 changes from last week's 0-0 draw against Crown Legacy. The notable one comes in the heart of defense. Tahir Reed Brown slots into center back because Thomas Williams' red card last week. Otherwise, the attacking personnel very similar from Manuel Goldberg. Meanwhile, for Matt Pilkington, he makes 5 changes from the Hudson River Derby last week. The notable one, Camille Azam Ruiz slots in up top. Jonathan Jimenez to his left. And then in the midfield, Johnny Shore slots back into center mid. He's partnered by Maximo Carrizo and Jake Rosansky, the veteran presence in the midfield trio. Will Meyer starting between the sticks after Alex Rando was sent off 8 minutes into that match against Red Bulls 2 last week. We are just about set to get things underway here from Kissimmee, Florida, on the outskirts of Orlando. We are getting ready to kick off here. As Orlando is currently in the purple kits, their usual. New York in the white with black numbers. Well, for Orlando, we've mentioned the struggles. Just 1 win in the last 10 for Manuel Goldberg's side. That has been what has limited them from leapfrogging other teams to head into that elusive top 8. They got off to a slow start to the year. It's been ebbs and flows in terms of performances this year. New York, on the other hand, they've boasted one of the better attacks in the league, and the last few months, they have kicked it into another gear. Matt Pilkington's side did not lose a match in June or July. They were named Next Pro's July Team of the Week. August, just 1 point through 2 games, but still comfortably in the playoff places entering the match week. Well, Orlando will get us underway in the first meeting between OCB and New York City FC2. It's Emmanuel Almaguer who stands over this, and the referee's giving us a signal. Underway from Osceola Heritage Park. Sam Goldfarb here, excited to bring you all of the action tonight in an Eastern Conference 6-pointer that could redefine the way a gridlocked Eastern Conference looks at the end of the evening. For Orlando, it feels like a game in which they must get a result to start to make headway as we enter the final month and a half of the MLS NEXT Pro campaign. It has flown by in the blink of an eye. For New York, it's about protecting what they've already carved out in terms of the standings. And there are personnel alterations to cope with, notably no Taylor Calera for the 2nd consecutive match. But it is still about grinding out results, according to Matt Pilkington. That is the name of the game and has been all year. Here is John Solis, a 25-year-old Colombian. New addition out of Fortaleza, the Colombian Giants. Looking long now, and Mohamed is offside. It's a beautiful night in Orlando, 90 degrees, humidity at 49%, as you can expect for this time of year. Sun bearing down on the carpet of a pitch at Osceola Heritage Park. Orlando team that moved here a few years back and has made it their home for the 2nd team unit. Just 30 minutes down the road from the greater downtown Orlando area. This is Drew Baera, one of the many young first-team players who make their trade with NYCFC too. It's a team that prioritizes the development of youth talent. You look at the complement of stars that have ascended through the academy ranks here. And they hand down homegrown contracts at a pretty young age. Many of those young homegrowns in the 11 tonight. It has made for a team that is cohesive at the next pro level, and a side that bangs in goals pretty fearsomely. And, well, this New York rendition has certainly fit the mold this season. There is your first look at Will Meyer, the 26-year-old former Akron Zip, who's gotten decent playing time this year. It's been no doubt that Alex Rando has been the primary choice. But when he was sent off, Matt Pilkington was comfortable pivoting to him. And he did an excellent job. They nearly weathered the storm for 80 minutes to see out a 1-0 victory. Wound up with a draw, though. Here is Baera. It's cleared only as far as the experienced Jake Rosansky. Carrizo. Shore. Looking well at the moment. And still Johnny Shore. Takes a deflection and into the gloves of Carlos Mercado. And then making his 8th straight start. Has settled into the side quite well with the progression of Javier Otero to the first team. Just 4 goals allowed in his last 5. Has adapted after a slow start. Arevalo nearly wins this back. And some slippage from Reed Brown, but just about does the job. Well, talking to Matt Pilkington this week, he mentioned how proud he was of his side's efforts last week in the Hudson River Derby. Alex Rando sent off within the opening 10 minutes due to denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. Came way off his line, ill-advised challenge as the last line of defense, and was immediately given his marching orders. And despite that, New York won a penalty, took the lead in the 20th, and from there, nearly saw it out. He conceded in the 92nd, just minutes from full time. Matt Pilkington said he felt tired legs set in. Here's Solis, slithering ahead, and deflects harmlessly back to Meyer. They were without the ball for to say it was the lion's share of the match would be an understatement. They were outshot 25-4. Still managed to protect the lead for nearly the duration of the match, and ultimately earned a hard-fought draw. There was a sense of disappointment at the end, but regardless, to get a result under those circumstances on the road was monumental for this young group of players. There's Fabian Loyola. He's looking to trouble that formidable back line of New York. Back by Rosansky. Baera. It's Carrizo, already involved very early. A young revelation in this New York City Academy system. Arevalo's cross, and far too tight on Mercado in the end. On the other end of things for Orlando, we've mentioned a team that hasn't exactly won matches for fun this season, although they did triumph at Carolina Core on August 3rd. Last week, a scoreless draw against Crown Legacy, a match in which they doubled up the Crown in shots. And then Thomas Williams received a red card in the final 18 minutes, ultimately fell on penalties. Carrizo is looking for Jimenez. It's cleared only as far as Chris Tiao. Sure. Tio. Squirted wide to the former Rutgers man. Cross. Protected. By Mercado. It's an animated crowd in Kissimmee tonight. Some supporters out with vuvuzelas. Instrument made famous in the 2010 World Cup. It was the constant soundtrack of the South African event, rendition I should say. Nice to see some of the supporters coming out to show love to the second team, playing at a pristine venue at Osceola Heritage Park, a former baseball diamond that has been converted to soccer specifications. Specifications, I should say. Baera. It's a clever touch from Carrizo, and he does almost win this foot race. Well, 10 minutes gone here from Osceola Heritage Park. Still awaiting the match's first proper chance. Pair of teams that are known for their ability to bang it in the back of the net, especially New York, one of the top 10 attacks in Next Pro, and loaded with forward-thinking talent. Now again, without their top scorer, Calera, but Jimenez has been a star in his own right, and that front three is fearsome. Camille Azam Ruiz, number 83 in white, has burst onto the scene with 4 goals after rarely featuring in the first 2 months of the season. The question will be, can they all get on the same wavelength and convert that into a result on the road tonight? Loyola with other ideas for Orlando. Plays it forward to Mohammed. Flag stays down. Just escorts it wide. Well, that is the man to watch if you're Orlando tonight. Shaq Mohammed, former 2nd overall pick in the 2023 draft. And at Duke, impressed with his versatility and finishing ability, to say the least. He's normally at his best as more of a wide midfielder, but no Wilfredo Rivera in the 18 tonight, and so some things have been adjusted accordingly. He's got the frame to play up front, and he leads this team in goals for a reason. Freeman.
Yep, I can hear you. I'm just on mute. It's a whole family in the front row.
It's beyond the reach of the first teamer, Luca Petroso.
I mean, I know, they're not anywhere near the camera, unfortunately. They're in the front row of the stadium. Right down by the field, you can see it in this camera shot right here. Yeah.
There is Almaguer. It's a dual pivot tonight for Orlando City SC. Switching the play now towards Freeman, the right back. Does keep this in play. Knocked out of play for what appears to be the match's first corner. Orlando with the first set piece of the evening. And it is Favian Loyola, the 19-year-old, who appears set to deliver. Loyola within swing. Plenty of altitude. And effectively switches it to Almaguer. Flashing cross. Back to Loyola. Now dancing on the near side. And just to outwit two defenders. Sukata, he's a danger man. Uncorks! Narrowly whistles wide. Orlando twisting the screws. But what a chance this was. Clever footwork from Loyola. And the new first-teamer, Sukata, has plenty of space to unleash this. Right onto his left. Just couldn't quite curl it. Either way, a promising sign for the Lions early. And Yutaro Sukata, a native of Tokyo, Japan, who signed his first contract with the first team this week on Thursday. Already impressing early on this weekend. Picked 25th out of West Virginia in this year's Super Draft. He was a third-team All-American for the Mountaineers in the Sun Belt. One of the many young college talents that have banged in goals for fun for Orlando over the last couple of years. Solis. In some space now. And awaiting support. Sukata. Overcooked it for Petrasso. Well, if you're just joining us, we welcome you into Osceola Heritage Park in Kissimmee, Florida. A beautiful night for football. Temperatures in the low 90s. Humidity up a bit as well as the sun begins to set on the East Coast. It is an Orlando side that is looking to recapture the form of early May, which saw them rattle off a number of victories. Well, a New York team that has rattled in goals, one of the best attacks in Next Pro, and has not slowed down. It's a clever ball in the half space, routinely into the gloves of Carlos Mercado. Fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by Orlando Health. Choose well. So far, neither set of attackers has chosen the right ball in the penalty area just yet. It has been a back and forth affair, and aura of caginess in the early stages. Both teams with decent half chances. Yutaro Sukata with the game's best opportunity to date. Freeman is hoping to alter that narrative right now. Loyola. It's read brilliantly by Johnny Shore. Now Jimenez, the former North Carolina Tar Heel. Carrizo. There's plenty of runway. Aravallo now in space. Flashed away by Almaguer, only as far as Tio. Not been shy about getting forward tonight. The question for New York will be how the crushing nature of the last-second draw last weekend carries over. Again, Matt Pilkington left the match with a more positive outlook on it, just given the adversity they faced. Said they're no stranger to being down a man, and they know how to defend, and the numbers the last few weeks show how good they've been out of possession. They felt they could win it. Sukata losing out right on the edge of the area. And now Carrizo. It's become more end-to-end. And still with Maximo Carrizo. Kibunguchi was just too much. Solis. goes wide to Almaguer, donning the captain's armband tonight. Sukata, plenty of room to cross, cuts this back, Sukata can't pick out the top corner. A brilliant chance, and another that goes begging for Orlando City Starman. Great interplay here, and Sukata dangles the threat of a cross to outwit the younger Baera. Wanted that top right corner, just didn't quite have the ability to wrap his foot around it from that angle. He has been the go-to option on the break so far, though, for the young Lions. And here he is again. Unsurprisingly, Orlando taking the fight to New York early. It's put New York in an unfamiliar position. This is a team that is very dynamic in the build-up. They can counter. They do like to outpossess teams. On the road tonight, they'll be forced to adapt their approach a bit, because Orlando seems intent on grabbing the match by the scruff of the neck tonight. There's no semblance of intimidation factor in terms of the way they've schemed around this New York squad. And why would there be? It's an Orlando team that has received points in all 4 meetings between these two units. Though it is a very different look for both teams between last and this season. Almaguer switches the play for Petrasso. First team left back who's gotten increasingly more time in the Next Pro ranks the last few weeks. Solis needs Freeman, and an excellent recovery from Tio. The offside flag was raised anyways. You see the numbers, tells the full story. Early dominance from Orlando despite the slight possessional disadvantage. Nobody has been able to test the opposing goalkeeper just yet. And you see in live time, the expected goals jumped by over 0.1 for Orlando after the chance by Sukata. Jimenez. A rare foray into the final third for New York at this current moment. Excellent interplay to play out of danger. Sukata. Ball has been magnetized to his boots. It's one back by Carrizo. Dangerous moment for Orlando. It's Maximo Carrizo. He's around the goalkeeper, and the referee's blown the whistle. A point to the spot, and the yellow shown to Carlos Mercado. Perhaps fortunate to evade a red there, because he was nearly the last line of defense. You get another look.
Ladies and gentlemen, a yellow
it's
card has been issued
loose
on receipt
play
number
from
99,
Tahir Reed-Brown,
Carlos
and
Mercado
Carrizo nearly
on the
punishes
second.
them. He rounds the keeper. Fortunately for Mercado, there's 2 purple shirts behind him. Unfortunately, there's no stopping the penalty whistle. And that gives New York an opportunity to open the scoring against the grain of play from 12 yards. It appears Camille Azam Ruiz will be the man to take it. The 23-year-old out of Iona, who's bagged 4 goals in his first 9 appearances this year. Someone who's caught fire in the summertime. It's the former Iona Gale against Mercado. And it's saved! Follow-up effort, bashed home! At the second time of asking, Azam Ruiz puts New York on the board. Well, it was done in circuitous fashion, but New York won't care. 1-0 after 23 minutes.
NYCFC 2 goals scored by number 83.
It wasn't the best of penalties by Azam Ruiz. Mercado read it well, but he couldn't recover in time. And ultimately, all he has to do is bash it into the roof of the net. Good technique on the follow-up, quality perseverance. And New York with a 1-0 lead despite being on the back foot for large portions of this first half. Fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by Inter & Co., your next financial super app and official financial institution of Orlando City. New York was unable to cash in on the penalty, but Azam Ruiz's tenacity rewarded. And the Pigeons with an early advantage on the road. Remember the pivotal stakes of a match like this. New York does not have much separation between themselves and the playoff line. The top 8 teams reach the playoffs. And for New York to be able to qualify for their first postseason in NEXT Pro history, they'll have to see out results like this. Loyola hoping to neutralize the opener. Solis! The goal was gaping, and Meyer very fortunate that did not find the target. Nearly an immediate response. You see Loyola taking on Tio, draws his commitment, and forces another to track over. That opens up the window for Solis. And again, the story has just been Orlando's inability to find the target. A number of quality chances that have not found the goal frame. Well, we're midway through this first half. A match that was back and forth, but Orlando largely producing the better of the chances. Fully neutralized after the penalty was conceded by goalkeeper Carlos Mercado. Carlos Azam Ruiz, the man who opened the scoring on the follow-up after his penalty attempt was saved. Emil Azam Ruiz was the man who broke the deadlock. Orlando has a corner. Fabian Loyola has been the designated taker tonight. Taken short. Loyola's cross, it comes towards goal, and it drew Meyer into action. Nearly sprung a surprise on New York. This is cleverly done. Sukata comes short, and it's just right off the first touch. Meyer sees it late. He has to track over to prevent that from nestling into the bottom right. Third corner of the night for Orlando. Towards the heart of the area. Solis got a touch to it. He fired it right at Meyer, who has already been a man bombarded tonight. It's a good in-swinger. Taken towards the near post. Solis had a good flick on it, but ushering it right at the men between the sticks in the end of things. If you're Orlando, you cannot afford to concern yourself with counterattacks. Has the feel of a match they need to win. Number of opportunities to launch 3 points decreasing in front of our eyes here in the late stages. Mohamed, he's brought down on the edge of the area. It was a loose challenge and one that puts Matthew Leong in the book. Well, the former Columbia man here is the man cautioned. Just dives in late. Clever work from Mohamed.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's Orlando City, a very appetizing free kick.
Number 63, Matthew Leong, in the 28th minute.
It is a tight angle here. Sukata has to get this one up and down pretty quick. You wonder if maybe he targets that back stick. gives him a little more time to whip it up and down if he aims for the far post. It's Sukata and Solis standing over this. Two of the more dynamic attacking players all year for the Young Lions. Solis drives it low and deflects out of play for a corner. It was Sukata who bashed it goalward. Well, it's a good attempt here on the right foot. It deflects off Baera. Tried to go low under the wall and didn't quite pay dividends. Sukata to take this corner. In swinger now. Freeman. Only as far as Loyola. And loses out. Space for Azam Ruiz. And brilliant recovery from Almaguer. We rapidly approach the half-hour mark. The lone goal scored by Camille Azam Ruiz, a follow-up after a penalty was saved in the 23rd minute. It's been a match where Orlando has had the better of the chances. Not the best of which went New York's way. And at the second time of asking, Azam Ruiz paid dividends. And his two teams not very experienced in terms of postseason trips. It's a New York team only in its third season of competitive football. They have not reached the playoffs in either of its first two campaigns. Now, they've been competitive despite that, but missed the playoffs by 3 points or less in each of their first two campaigns. Orlando returned to the playoffs for the first time since their inaugural season last year. Baera dancing, cuts it back. Here's Jimenez. Late challenge from Freeman. He was clipping at the heels. He does get off scot-free. New York won't have a second penalty, and there were only half-hearted appeals at that. Let's take another look. Baera probably cuts this too far back, and it gives the defense time to recover. There is the late challenge from Freeman, but doesn't quite get enough of the heels. Advances portion of the match is brought to you by Walt Disney World, the most magical place on earth. As we head into a hydration break, 30 minutes in to this pivotal Eastern Conference six-pointer. You see Orlando with work to do here at home, despite having the better of the chances. It's a warm night in Kissimmee, Florida. The goal scored by Camille Azam Ruiz, you see it on your screen, in the 23rd minute. Had a penalty saved and then followed it up and put it in the back of the net. That is what separates these two teams. And his story, very impressive. Someone who was a three-time All-Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference selection. As you get a look at what yielded that penalty. See, Carrizo won it back. He outwits the goalkeeper Mercado, who gets a yellow for his troubles here and sets up New York from 12 yards. And from there, it was Camille Azam Ruiz. First effort tonight, not the best penalty, but it's his tenacity that is rewarded. Bears down on goal, bashing it into the top left corner, and that is what separates the two sides after a half hour and change. Well, the question is, what will Orlando's response be? They've had a number of breaks into the final third. A couple of chances have flashed their way as well, but their set-piece execution has been, frankly, not nearly effective or efficient enough, and that has been primarily their source of opportunity so far. It is a big part of the match, and a lot of these players still learning training ground techniques. It is an Orlando side, though, that has been largely stable throughout the year. There's not a lot of first-team rotation. Usually when guys head up to the first team on a regular basis, they don't come down much. And obviously with other clubs in the Next Pro ranks, it varies. Sometimes they're is a lot more alteration. For Orlando, the side they largely pick at the start of the season tends to crack the 11 by the end of the year. At least this season under Manuel Goldberg. Well, back underway here from Osceola Heritage Park in Kissimmee, Florida, a suburb of Orlando in Central Florida, just 30 minutes from the downtown area. Positive start. Here's Mohamed looking to change it. He's through on goal, a heavy touch, and bashing it off the left post. Somehow, Orlando unable to conjure an equalizer. And how did Mohamed miss that? It's the first touch which lets him down. He's clearly through on goal. And as he rounds the keeper, he gives himself a non-existent angle. And it is just that poor touch which causes him to eventually put it off the post. What a chance that was that just went begging for the young Lions. Shaq Mohamed with their best chance of the match, and a tale of frustration has been the story of the first 33 minutes for Orlando City B. Will Meyer has to feel like the most fortunate man in the building. There was not much he could do. The defense got caught out on a high line. Somehow they don't pay the price. Well, we approach the business end of things in the first half. The question is, does Orlando have an equalizer in its locker? The chances have been mounting. Well, they break through a back line that has had its cracks tonight. Perhaps uncharacteristically so at that. Solis plays it wide to Alex Freeman. Plenty of space on the underlap here. Loyola. This is Colin Gusky, the third of the Gusky brothers to play for Orlando City B. Loyola was hunting the run of Mohamed. He may still have the earlier chance on his mind. Carrizo is clipped from the back. Shore. Switch of the play to Aravalo, 21-year-old. Who has had some bright moments here with New York this season. Carrizo. A terrific performance so far from him. Tio. And now Jimenez. New York gaining comfort in possession after a slower start by their lofty standards. Baera. Well, look at the numbers. 9 shots for Orlando in the first half. And the expected goals through the roof. But the only scoreline and stat that matters is the one at the top of your screen. New York with the lead. Camila Zamruiz, the provider of that advantage. New York's XG has climbed considerably, and not just from the penalty. They've had other chances that have presented themselves since. Growing in confidence. Gusky. Solis. You have to wonder what's going through Manuel Goldberg's mind. In his third season with the club, he was appointed the head man on March 11th after 2 years as an assistant on this Orlando City Bees staff. And someone who, despite being the youngest MLS NEXT Pro coach in league history at just 30 years of age, he's been coaching for a decade now. He began his coaching pursuits in Israel after playing a few years at Hapoel Katamon. Then he moved to his native Argentina to serve as an assistant on a number of staffs there. Made the move to Central Florida around the turn of the decade to the 2020s. And since then has established himself in the MLS system with Orlando City. Someone who says he has playoff aspirations for this bunch and believes they can get there. They have work to do at the tail end of the campaign, but they are by no means out of the mix. And if they can turn this match around tonight, those 3 points would be invaluable for their pursuit of the top 8. They have another crack at this New York team as well at Belson Stadium in 10 days' time. So regardless of results here, you'll have another 6-pointer on the cards pretty shortly thereafter. Gusky. It is a heavy touch, and then dangles the boot on shore. That's enough to get him in the book. Second man booked tonight for Orlando. First outfield player to see the yellow tonight. It's just the heavy touch which lets him down. And then, yep, leg comes in a beat late. It's not a hard challenge, but it is a little loose. Well, our officials tonight, Mario Maric, the head man, Carlos Morales Lastra, and Robert Cordray, his assistants, Gabriel Justi, the fourth official. 40 minutes gone from Kissimmee, Florida. A sunny evening in the greater Orlando area. The result, anything but sunny for the Orlando City faithful. Trailing 1-0 courtesy of the Azam Ruiz penalty in the 23rd minute. They've been chasing the match ever since. Had a number of chances to equalize, go begging. Freeman growing in influence here. Almaguer. Loyola. Surveying for options. And switching the play nicely to Sukata. And still with Yutaro Sukata. Took a deflection. The question is off whom? To the chagrin of the players in purple, it's going to be a goal kick. Well, a bit of rookie and vet action in terms of the coaching battle. Matt Pilkington, his third year at the helm of this New York City FC 2 side, and has built a cohesive system, one which has produced a number of goals at a bare minimum. Has been with this New York team since 2016 as well. Adventurous run forward from Shore. He's brought down just outside the area. This penalty shout is immediately waved off by Mario Maric. But under Pilkington, this team has been within striking distance of the postseason both years. And now with a lot of the younger homegrowns maturing rapidly, you've seen the results follow suit. Gotten better performances on the road, like this one tonight. And it's been those kind of games which have put them in a much better position to crack the postseason for the first time in team history. He's coached the U15 squad all the way up through U19, worked his way up through the coaching ranks, and has earned the right to coach this New York City FC 2 side. And it's a heavy responsibility. He's mentioned how difficult it is to win in this league, just due to the constant personnel turnover. But recently, this side has won and won consistently. Arevalo. Cutback is just off the mark. Was clearly hunting the oncoming Azam Ruiz. Gusky. And that challenge was a cynical one. Drew Bayer in the book. Second yellow card for New York tonight.
Ladies and
You
gentlemen,
see the
yellow
late
card
challenge.
was
He just
issued
tugs
to
on the
NYCFC 2, number
back of
38,
Gusky.
Andrew Bayer,
Puts him in the
in the
book.
43rd minute.
On the fringes of halftime here. Right now, New York will certainly enter the dressing room the happier of the two entities. Freeman. Sukata. Oh, that's clever. And now room to roam. It's still Yutaro Sukata! There's the equalizer! It's a stunner on the brink of halftime. Orlando level. And it's the newest first teamer providing the equalizer. Individual brilliance. And a deserved goal for Orlando. So clever. Driving past Baera onto his favored right. And what a finish this is. Rolling it on the ground. Plenty of pace and venom to it. Meyer rooted to his line. Orlando with a much needed leveler before intermission. Well, there is Sukata, the West Virginia product who tore up the Sun Belt Conference a season ago for a Mountaineers team that was ranked #1 in the country in spurts last year. His 5th goal of the season and breaking out of a recent rut that has seen the goal production dry up. A terrific finish. Here's the cross from Almaguer. Is there one more chance for the reinvigorated hosts before the break? Solis. It's an inventive ball, and one that falls to him. John Solis! There is another! Orlando flipping it on its head. 2 goals in as many minutes. And 2 brilliant tallies. John Solis celebrating with the fans. And Orlando has completely flipped the script. It comes from his inventive ball, which falls directly back to him. And what a finish this is. Curling it on his left. No chance for Meyer. A 4th of the year for the former Fortaleza man. And just like that, Orlando with the advantage. He has been a mainstay, a Sharpie at center attacking mid all season for the Lions. And that is the reason why. A man who has played at the highest levels of South American football, be it in the Boca Juniors Academy or with the Giants of Colombia and Fortaleza. He's carried over that experience and quality to the next pro ranks. Here's Shore looking for one final retort before the break. A match that opened as a cagey affair has completely gone haywire. Arevalo. Is there one final chance for New York? Not if Sukata has anything to say about it. We see that on your screen. 2 goals in as many minutes. Sukana in the 45th, Solis a minute later. And an Orlando team that spent the bulk of the first half chasing finds itself in the catbird seat with halftime beckoning. Freeman is looking through to Almaguer. We are now beyond the 3 minutes of added time. You would figure an additional minute or 2 would be tacked on. A pair of goals right around stoppage time. Well, the referee with other ideas. Mario Maric blows the halftime whistle. It's 2 goals on the brink of stoppage time, which allow Orlando City B to snatch a halftime advantage. Yutaro Sukana and John Solis have flipped the narrative on its head. Orlando with the advantage. Our score at the half is Orlando 2, New York 1. Coming up, Michelle revisits Columbus to meet the Crew 2 manager after this short break.
Messi! La pelota para que contact and a shot goal! Mamita querida, qué golazo! Magnifique frappe! Really sweet. Ahí está el centro. Gol! Maxi Mesa para pegarle, Maxi le pegó. Fuerza, al frente, servicio, el tiro. Con autoridad el centro. A la izquierda en las afueras del área le pega, golazo. Amor al gol. Parte externa, va a definir Chicho.
Listen up, all eyes on me. I'll show you who you wanna be. Yeah, hey. Oh, wow. It's going down. You don't want to miss that. It's the new sound. It's the new sound. It's the new sound. Toda mi gente lo siente. 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 Toda mi gente caliente. Toda mi gente lo siente. Toda mi gente suena. En la favela suena. El techo se me llena. Toda mi gente lo siente.
Welcome back. Michelle Montaigne revisits our Coach's Corner to let us get to know Kelvin Jones, manager of Columbus Crew 2. Take a look.
Well, a new head coach for the league means a new Coach's Corner for you guys. I'm so happy to be sitting down with Kelvin Jones, head coach of Crew 2. Thank you for the time and welcoming us to your home.
Yeah, absolutely.
This field has seen a lot of winning over the years. I know this is your first season at the helm of this club, but no stranger to the entire franchise. For you, seeing so many guys come through here and make it to the first team, all the way from starting in the academy where you started, how satisfying is that?
It's great. I think for any coach, it's why you get into coaching. It's because of the personal connections that you make with the players. So to be able to see them progress through the academy and fulfill their dreams to get to the first team, it's really rewarding to say that you were part of that journey.
And having started at the U12 level, getting to see some of these guys grow up. How do you feel like Next Pro bridges that gap between the academy and the first team?
Yeah, I think it's a huge part, especially from where this club used to be to where we want to go. Not having Next Pro in the past, I think, kind of slowed down that developmental process a bit. All of our homegrowns prior to recent homegrowns had made their way back to the first team through college. And while they were in the academy, didn't necessarily have that mechanism to really challenge them and to push them once they were above what we thought was the academy level. So for these young guys to get opportunities at Next Pro, for us to see them before we have to make a decision on what their pathway is, it's great for us and a great tool for us to see daily, and then obviously for the first team to hopefully pull them in one day.
Well, once Next Pro was established, you guys wasted absolutely no time. First 2 years of the league, you guys make it to the MLS Next Pro Cup final. Obviously walk away as champions in the inaugural year. As you come in, now taking charge of this club, what kind of pressure do you feel knowing that that's the expectation that's been set?
Yeah, it's for sure a high bar, but where we're at, and even the first 2 years, it wasn't an expectation to win. It was to develop, and I think winning also becomes a byproduct of what you're doing on the field to develop. So there's no pressure to win, as the end goal is, as you saw with Mo and Schulte and Sean and those guys, is to give those guys the opportunity to make their way to the first team. There's a huge shift in terms of the makeup of the group as we've focused a lot on giving the younger academy kids an opportunity, because that's just where we're at as a club and how these players have progressed through. So the end goal is obviously to push these guys into the first team environment and give them opportunities to make the first team, and we are a tool that allows players to do that at a younger age.
Knowing that, and even you kind of mentioning this earlier, that you're not so much focused on the team, you're focused on developing each individual. With that in mind, I guess, what does success mean to you? Or what does it look like this year?
Ultimate success is those guys getting the opportunity to be with the first team or making a first team contract. That's the goal. Will some of those guys make first team contracts this year? We'll see. But you can see the success that is happening here at Next Pro translating to those guys getting opportunities with the first team on a consistent basis. Wilfred and staff are bringing the Next Pro guys into training. Stosh, Gio, Cole, there's been several guys that have been on first team rosters and benches for matches in league play or even Champions Cup. So I would say if you're looking at success and these guys getting opportunities right now, I would say we're right on track.
Well, that success is also translating to the first team. Obviously, the reigning MLS Cup champions for Crew, getting to host All-Star, knowing that there's just so much excitement around the club overall at every level. How would you describe kind of how you feel being a part of it all?
Yeah, humble, proud. Being here for 7 years, I've seen all of the ups and downs over the last few years at the club. And from the day that I first got here, I always thought that this could be a special place. And the fact that the All-Star game is here, we've got players that are represented in the All-Star games, both in next and the first team. I think it's just a culmination of all the hard work that has gone on behind the scenes over the last few years to put us in a place to continue to grow.
Well, continued success, I am certain they will find. Coach, thank you so much for the time.
Absolutely.
That does it for this edition of Coach's Corner from beautiful, historic Crew Stadium. I'm Michelle Montaigne. We'll see you soon.
Toda mi gente lo siente, 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 toda mi gente caliente, toda mi gente lo siente. Toda mi gente suena, en la favela suena, el techo se me llena.
está el centro. Gol. Para Maxi Mesa para pegarle. Maxi le pegó. Huerta. Al frente. Servicio. El tiro. It's saved by Carlos Corner. Con autoridad el centro. A la izquierda en las afueras del área. Le pega. Golazo. Parte externa, va a definir Chicho.
Here we go again, taking to the streets. Here we go again, marching to our own beat. If we start to lose the rhythm in our feet, we just pick it up again, pick it up again, pick it up again. We do it in style, we can move anywhere we wanna move. Style, we can do anything we wanna do in style.
We welcome you back to Kissimmee, Florida, where Orlando City has flipped this match on its head. A 2-1 advantage at halftime as we get a look at the match week 23 scores from around the league. Taking a look at things, a 2-2 draw between LA and Timbers 2. How about Carolina Core knocking off one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference, part of their surge up the Eastern Conference table of late. And then yesterday, 3-2 victory by Huntsville over Red Bulls 2. Meanwhile, North Texas dominating Dynamos. You look further down the schedule, a few standout matches as well. Houston hosting Minnesota in a key battle below the playoff line. And then as well, New York back in action against Chicago on Friday night. Meanwhile, Orlando traveling to Orlando. That is, or to Atlanta, I should say. That's your look around the league in the upcoming matches this week. Here at halftime, a 2-1 advantage for Orlando City B over New York City FC 2. It has been a fun match so far and a quality performance from Orlando. We'll step aside and be back with highlights and stats.
All right, MLS store, I need something fresh and clean. Let's see what you got. I need that in my size. So I like this. Cream on cream? The fit is cold. I'm ice cream. You like that?
We welcome you back to Osceola Heritage Park, where Orlando City B holds a 2-1 advantage over New York City FC 2. It was an eventful first half, and there were late fireworks from Orlando, which allowed them to snatch the advantage after 45 minutes. Let's take a look at the standout moments from the opening 45 minutes, picking things up early on with the opener. You see Maximo Carrizo charge through on goal. He outwits Carlos Mercado, brought down in the box. Instant point to the spot. And from there, Orlando was really unable to keep him out. It was a good save on the first penalty, and then Camille Azam Ruiz driving it into the roof of the net to give New York the lead in the 23rd minute. But then on the stroke of halftime, it began with Yutaro Sukata in the 45th minute, slithering inside. Excellent finish, bashing it into the bottom left corner, and that gave the Lions an equalizer. But they weren't done there, because a minute later, they found the goal which put them in front. It all comes from John Solis, the inventiveness with this ball. It falls right back to him, and what a finish this is. Just curls it, wraps his boot around it brilliantly, and that put the Lions in front before the break. A half which New York controlled, but they find themselves down at intermission, and you can't say it's not deserved. Orlando, the better of the chances, the Lions' share of the chances, and despite being outpossessed in that first half, they did far more with their possession than the visitors did. It was a half where they probably deserved to lead. New York had the lead for the bulk of it, but not enough to see it out. It was a late wobble by a new-look back line, which cost them. And as things stand with 45 minutes to play, Orlando has a lead to protect, which about 15 minutes ago in real time would have been hard to fathom that. We are just about set to get things back underway here on the outskirts of Orlando, Florida, Kissimmee. New York is making a change, and it is a pretty inventive one. Elias entering for Jimenez. And as well, one more change for New York. It's Nicholas Kapanadze,
Ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 substitutions for NYCFC.
who also enters the action. A man who started last week in the Hudson River Derby, but was the man they had to sacrifice when Alex Rando was sent off. Only played about 8 minutes in that match. Now gets an opportunity as a halftime replacement. So 2 changes. Piero Elias, who scored the opener against Red Bulls 2, and Nicholas Kapanadze, who also enters the action. Sam Goldfarb here bringing you all of the action tonight, where Orlando currently has the advantage. A team that found itself trailing the bulk of the first. 2 goals in quick succession have changed that. Well, if you're New York and Matt Pilkington, you have to wonder how the strategy changes. Did so much on the counter in that first half. Now they have to alter things, as Elias's first touch is smashed out of trouble. Sukata, one of the 2 providers of goals in that first half for Orlando. Here's the other in Solis. So you see Azam Ruiz is also another man who vacates. So 2 frontline players for Elias and Jimenez. Kapanadze is more of a proper winger. So it's likely there may be a formational adjustment, or perhaps they'll move one man up to the front line. It does look like a 2-man front with Carrizo in behind as a false 9 or a number 10 even. Nightfall has set in on the outskirts of Orlando on the East Coast. 8 p.m. local. Weather has still remained high temperatures, as is expected this time of year in Central Florida. Elias venturing ahead. And now Shore. Here is Johnny Shore's cross. We're into the feet of Solis, and this is a brilliant ball. Petrasso's through. Myers out of net. It's still Luca Petrasso, and it is a goal-saving tackle from Kapanadze. In the end, Johnny Lopez was the last man to intervene. The 17-year-old center back, who Matt Pilkington has raved about in training the last few weeks, making the goal-saving tackle. Carrizo. Mercado off his line to collect. What a challenge this was from Johnny Lopez. A man who has just recently cracked the 11, one of the new center back additions. Petrasso's through on goal. It is this sliding challenge which keeps New York in the match for the time being. Excellent tackle from Lopez. Sukata, imbued with confidence. Loyola. And it comes to Sukata. Wanted to get cheeky with it, and that gave Meyer the time he needed to recover. Great interplay here. You see Loyola plays it out wide. It is Freeman's ball through. A good square ball. A little dink trying to chip the keeper. Meyer was on his line, though. Elias. Sure. End-to-end action to begin this second half. Well, we mentioned it off the top, but for those unfamiliar, just 4 meetings all time between these two sides. New York has not won a single one. Orlando, 1 win and 3 draws in the 4 previous meetings. It's the first meeting this year. Last year, though, the Lions did get the last laugh. It was a 4-3 win at Belson Stadium around this time last August. It has the feeling of a similar caliber of goal fest. A number of chances both directions. Here's Gusky. Solis. Sukata. And now Loyola. Mohammed. This is Alex Freeman with space to cross. Orlando brimming with ability. Loyola from long range. Good stop by Meyer at full extension. Well, that is what makes the difference. Sukata and Solis, 2 goals a minute apart from one another. Right on the brink of halftime. It turned what would have been a stern halftime team talk for Manuel Goldberg into a more bright one. Loyola. Excellent read by Lopez. Carrizo turning on the afterburners. The youngest homegrown player signing in league history. And here he is again. Laying it off to Shore, his midfield counterpart. That cross doesn't meet anyone in white. Well, you see this chance. It's Fabian Loyola taking it himself from long range. It had some venom to it, and it forced Meyer into a save for the cameras. Major opportunities both ways so far. Here's Solis. It is a dramatic advantage from Orlando City B in virtually every regard at this point. Now even winning the possession battle, despite the bulk of their possession yielding quick chances. Here's the man who would have wanted that breakaway back. Almaguer, Petrasso linking well, and the offside flag is raised. It is eye-popping build-up from Orlando. One of their better spells of the season in possession. Elias runs out of real estate on the far side. Fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by Central Florida Audi dealers. Visit AudiOffers.com for exceptional offers. An exceptional stint is what has the Lions in front at the moment. And they've built on that since the restart. A number of very lively spells in possession. It's been a positive moment for them since the break. Sukata. He has been nothing short of exceptional tonight. That is not a moment he'll rewatch with joy. Solis. Here is Carrizo, just 16 years of age, with the world at his feet. Ravallo. comes to Piero Elias. Clever link-up play here. It's quick. Kapanadze cleared out of danger. An excellent recovery from Reed Brown. Great interplay here from New York. Aravalo in the center of it all. Picks out Kapanadze well. Just too tight an angle, and Mercado did enough. The ensuing corner kick did less than trouble Mercado. The implications of this match are pretty clear. 6 points separating the two teams in the standings entering tonight. Orlando could half that if this result holds, and also put themselves right in contention for the top 8. If all broke right, they could climb into the playoff spots tonight, or at least on the brink of them. And New York would be feeling the pressure around that cut line. Solis has plenty of room to roam, and a progressive ball forward. This is Shaq Mohammed. Reinforcements in the immediate midst. Loyola charging through. It's still Loyola. He's into a thicket of white shirts and immediately tumbles down in the area. Orlando winning a free kick. When you look at the table, this is a gridlocked Eastern Conference, especially around the playoff line. Right now, New York sits in 6th in the table. Orlando would still be in 10th if this held, but they would be 2 points from that 8th place spot. And they have a match in hand on a lot of the teams above them. For New York, they have matches in hand, but this would represent one being squandered, especially given the recent struggles of Orlando. A team that has been forced to settle for a myriad of draws over the last 2 months. It's Almaguer over this free kick. Comes in into a dangerous area and falls for Aravalo. Bashed out of danger over to Mercado between the sticks. If you're just joining us, rapidly approaching the hour mark from Kissimmee, Florida, at Osceola Heritage Park. A beautiful playing surface at a former baseball diamond that's been converted into a soccer facility. And Orlando City B, the happier of the two sides, the home side with a 2-1 lead, courtesy of a stoppage time first half foray by Era, and he was offside. You look at the progression of Orlando the last couple seasons. This is a team that's been around since 2015. Were previously in USL League One and the USL before that. Made the move to Next Pro ahead of the inaugural season, and it was a struggle. They had not made the playoffs since 2016, prior to last year. And then last season represented a major burst in the right direction. Finished 5th in the East, and ultimately wound up falling in the Eastern Conference quarterfinals to Columbus Crew 2. And we all know what Crew 2 has done over the last 2 years in the Eastern Conference. So that is nothing to scoff at. This season, there have been more sputters, but a very classic performance tonight. Gusky, he'll win Orlando a corner. Right now, they hold the deserved lead. The numbers on your screen moments ago pretty much showed that story, as they have for the bulk of the night. And still creating, even despite bouts out of possession. Loyola stands over this corner. He's been getting target practice all evening. In swinger, comes to the back post. Kibunguchi was first to it. And Meyer very fortunate he could not redirect that on target. It's a training ground routine. Great delivery to the back post. And Kibunguchi maybe a beat late. Can't keep his effort down. Hearing word, 2 changes await for New York. We will give those to you in a matter of moments. As Meyer comes off his line to punch out of danger. It will be Clevis Haxeri, as well as Stevo Bednarski getting set to enter.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 substitutions for NYCFC 2.
Bayer, the first man to vacate for Haxeri, who's more of a listed center back, but he enters for the right back tonight.
Clevis Haxeri. Also leaving the game is number 70, Jake Rosansky.
Jake Rosansky vacating in a like-for-like swap with Stevo Bednarski. So it's one veteran defensive mid for another. Bednarski, 26 years of age, a product of Lehigh. Has been a super sub off the bench. But is more known for his ability as an unassuming force to move build-up on. Here's Sukata. Cross is charged towards Aravalo. Bednarski, a 4-time All-Patriot League selection during his times at Lehigh. He signed with the club in 2022 coming out of college, and has been a regular in the second-team infrastructure since. Haxeri's a little younger, an academy product at 19 years of age. Has had his spells in the starting 11, but for the most part lately has been a fixture on the bench. You've got to wonder what the thought process is here with the swap for a center back in for a right back. Does the shape potentially change for Matt Pilkington, a coach who's renowned for his use of the back four this season? Gusky charging it out wide. It's a terrific ball. Now Freeman unable to outwit Tio. It does go out for a corner though. Fabian Loyola once again. And right now, it is a dangerous time for New York. It's taken short. Sukata deflected and flicked in. Shaq Mohammed providing the insurance. Well, it was a dangerous moment, and the defense is cracked again. Orlando's leading scorer on the board. Shaq Mohammed's 9th of the year. Orlando cruising. It's a brilliant short corner routine. Sukata's ball just flicked along, takes the necessary touch off the dome of Mohammed. And the former Duke Blue Devil puts Orlando well and truly in the driver's seat. The 20-year-old out of Kumasi, Ghana, who caught so many eyeballs with his performances in the ACC, enough to earn himself a professional contract after 2 years. Was selected second by this Orlando team and has come good once again with his 9th goal of the season. Fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by your local Ford dealers. Orlando 3, New York 1. And the dangerous moment has become perilous for the visitors tonight. Loyola. The floodgates may burst open at any given moment. Petrasso just undercooks it for Solis. Well, Mohamed, at 20 years old, has so much talent. Someone who scored 2 matches ago against Carolina Core. As this is pop loose, driven across, and somehow mercifully beyond the far post. What a chance that was for Nicolas Capanadze. And a heart and throat moment that ultimately yields no results. It was nearly an instant reply. There was a promising spurt here from Orlando, but so many numbers forward, and on the giveaway, it just leaves room for New York to break. And then after that, it was really loose play from the back for Orlando. Nearly cost them their insurance and their comfort. Well, Mohamed entered today, tied for 6th in the league in goals. And in May, he caught fire, scoring in all 4 matches then. He was a proven goal scorer in college as well. 2nd-team All-American and a Mac Hermann Trophy finalist, semifinalist in 2022. Went pro and was unsurprisingly a top 3 pick right off the bat. He's still looking to make his imprint with the first team, but he's been on the fringes. And clinical finishes like that won't do anything but persuade the first-team management to consider his services going forward. Bednarski, and this is Carrizo. Looking for a window of space. Advantage played by the referee. Cross comes in. Too much for Aravalo to handle. How about this? Orlando tripling New York in shots tonight. The XG advantage is pretty glaring as well. Over 0.8 points in terms of XG. They've overperformed it despite missing a number of decent chances in the first half. But it was 2 sensational, scintillating strikes in the late stages of that first, which put them on the board. And well, that chance, the one you just saw moments ago from Mohamed, probably would have had a slightly higher XG counter on it. It is a dangerous time for New York. They find themselves treading water on the road. An uncharacteristically poor defensive display. A team that, during this recent stretch, had conceded multiple goals just once in the previous 8. That streak has been blown to smithereens tonight. Loyola. Very well done. Gusky keeps it alive, intended for the goal scorer Mohamed. What a story Shaq Mohamed is. Made his way over to the States for college from the Right to Dream Academy in Ghana, which is a very renowned youth system in the Accra area, and he's impressed throughout his career. At Duke, we've mentioned all of the accolades. And here in the professional ranks, Season 2, he has dominated Next Pro, a career high in goals already. And charging Orlando ever closer to the playoff places. Aravalo. And now it comes to Johnny Lopez. hearing word we'll have a hydration break around the 75th minute. It's a warm night in Kissimmee. That offers Matt Pilkington a chance to regroup with his lads. You have to wonder if maybe that comes too little too late with the way this has unfolded. Carrizo could completely shift that concern. He's bundled over outside the penalty area. Well, all told, Carrizo's been terrific tonight. Winning the penalty which led to New York's opener. He would be the spark that could change things for the Pigeons this evening. It's Aravalo, though, that is destined to deliver this set piece. Aravalo floating it towards the back post. Kept alive by Matthew Leong. Elias comes for Carrizo. Quick cross and far too tight on Carlos Mercado. Fans, this portion of the match is brought to you by Body Armor. Reach for real. Body Armor offers real hydration with no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or dyes. Inside the final 20 minutes from Osceola Heritage Park. The home fans by far the happier of the two supporters. An Orlando side that fell behind 1-0 has ripped off the last three and has continued to push for more. Freeman crosses this in. Perhaps fortunate that Mohammed didn't touch that. May have been offside. Loyola. Solis. His effort deflected, and all of the sting came out of it in the process. Carrizo. Shore. It's Johnny Shore! A good stop from Mercado. It falls to Kapanadze, though. Carrizo. As the attack lost its steam. Bednarski. Lopez. Caution to the wind now with the center backs thrown forward. And that cynical challenge may yield a booking. We'll get it momentarily after this short chance. It was a good effort here. A good parry, too, by Mercado. He doesn't put that naturally in the path of Kapanadze. Potentially prevents a goal, as the yellow has been shown.
Ladies and gentlemen, the yellow card has been issued to NYCFC 2, number 81.
It's Johnny Lopez who's booked.
In the 73rd minute.
And now all three of the four starting defenders have been booked tonight. One of them is no longer on the pitch in Viera. Sure. It's become an open affair. He wants it himself. Unable to properly threaten Mercado that time. Sukata, the star man tonight for Orlando. Petrasso. If you're just joining us, we thank you for tuning in here from Central Florida. An Orlando team that has completely shifted the trajectory of the match tonight. fell behind via Carlos Azam-Ruiz finish. Since then, 3 unanswered, 2 in first half stoppage time, and Shaq Mohammed putting the Lions in prime position to wrap up the points about 10 minutes ago. A trio of attacking stars making the difference for the young Lions. So get another look at this late challenge from Bednarski. Not enough to yield a yellow, but definitely enough to draw the referee's ire.
Ladies and gentlemen, the yellow card has been issued to NYCFC 2, number 37.
This is Petrasso.
The 75th minute.
Linking well with Sukata. And Lopez makes himself an obstacle. Carrizo. Capanadze. Streaking down the near side. Cuts it back. Arevalo can't quite pick out the far corner. Story of the night for New York out of open play. Another promising break and a good half chance there. It's right into the path of Arevalo, who may have been caught between two minds. Himself and Shore definitely not on the same wavelength in that particular break. Elias. Comes to Mohammed, the most recent Orlando goal scorer. Sukata looks long for Loyola. Loses the foot race comfortably to Leong. When you look at results elsewhere, Orlando would have themselves 2 points from the playoff line. And they'd have another crack at New York in 10 days' time. New York languishes in 6th after opening the day in 5th. Fortunate that it has not gotten worse given results elsewhere. A team that has established itself as one of the most well-rounded units in Next Pro. Here tonight, that has not been apparent. Here is Shore. Plays it into the path of Elias. Appeals for offside. They are waved away by Mario Maric. Carrizo. Tries from afar. It had the altitude, but it never stopped rising. And that sends us to our hydration break. Well, another goal tacked on by Orlando. They've been red hot in the final third. And they've got themselves in prime position to see out the 3 points. They have about a quarter of an hour to do so. Here are the standout moments. New York got off to a rapid start. Maximo Carrizo winning it back and then winning the penalty after the late challenge from Carlos Mercado. And it was Camille Azam-Ruiz who was the beneficiary of that interplay. Bad penalty here, but he follows it up, charges it into the roof of the net. Clinical tenacity from the star forward. And from there, it looked like maybe New York would have the ability to see this out. But on the stroke of halftime, Orlando with drastically different ideas. Yutaro Sukata getting things going with this brilliant individual goal. Outwitting 3 defenders and then charging it into the bottom left corner. No chance for Will Meyer. Then a minute later, his midfield counterpart, John Solis, giving the Lions the lead. It comes off of this really inventive, exciting ball, and then he just picks it up and creates space for himself. Unbelievable finish as he wraps his boot around it to give Orlando a halftime lead. And from there, who was involved with this goal but Yutaro Sukata? It's his ball that comes through, it flicks off the dome of Shaq Mohammed, and as things stand, that's the insurance that the Lions have required. A 3-1 advantage with just over 13 minutes to play. 3 players who came in as stars, and now changes will be made, many of them departing. Shaq Mohammed will exit, as will Tahir Reed Brown. It's a triple change for Orlando.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 substitutions for Orlando City B in the 79th minute. Leaving the game is number 23.
Justin Ellis replaces Mohammed up front. That is a like-for-like
He's
change.
replaced by number 59, Justin Ellis. Also leaving the game for Orlando City B is number 29, Tahir Reed Brown.
Tahir Reed Brown replaced by Manuel Coca. Well, Manuel Coca has a little more experience. This is his first appearance since early July. Missed plenty of time. Ellis is a young striker that they're very excited about in Orlando's youth system. Just 16 years old, already a pair of goals to his name, and has established himself as a regular super sub. It was just the double change from Orlando, despite the sheer number of bodies concentrated along the touchline at the time of that substitution. So a deserved applause for Mohammed, who made up for his missed opportunity in the first half with a very clinical finish. And has just made a general menace of himself. Tio. Aravallo. Hearing word it's one more change waiting for Orlando. Jackson Platts is getting set to enter, and it is Sukata who is the man tipped to make way.
Substitution for Orlando
That change comes now.
In the 81st minute. Leaving the game is number 34, Yutaro
A deserved
Sukata.
ovation for Yutaro Sukata, who produced a goal and an assist tonight. It was his equalizer which got things going, and he built on that with the assist on Mohammed's finish. The youngster, Jackson Platts, enters. He's 17 years of age, a native of the Orlando area. His 8th appearance off the bench and his 6th consecutive match with an appearance. Another young academy product starting to break into the pro ranks. So both teams exhausting their benches at the tail end of things. And fresh legs across the board for the young Lions. Carrizo. He's running like his legs are still fresh. And there's some cramping. And it appears Carrizo is now the man on the pitch. Well, you can't blame him. He has been at the center of everything creatively for New York tonight. Has run himself rampant. And he may be the man to make way. It's Julian Locker, the young attacker, getting set to replace him.
Ladies and gentlemen, substitution for NYCFC.
Carrizo out, Locker in.
Leaving the game
The final changes for New York tonight.
Carrizo. He's replaced by number 64, Julian Locker.
Locker's 10th appearance of the season. Has scored 1 goal at 16 years old. Another young academy player who is getting his first taste of professional football this summer. Inside the final 10 minutes here from Osceola Heritage Park. A comprehensive Orlando display so far. Although this challenge is going to get one of the Orlando men in the book. One that comes very late on Aravallo. Get another look here. Very late challenge.
Ladies and gentlemen, a yellow card has been issued to OCB number 64, Manuel Coca.
And it is Manuel Coca, the new substitute, who is cautioned at the first action for him on the pitch. Well, it's Coca's 13th appearance of the year. He started his previous 12 and was a mainstay at left back for OCB this season. Prolonged absence that he is now returning from, and good to see him back on the pitch. You're sure. Not quite on the same wavelength as Tio. Can New York add some late intrigue? Elias laid off to Aravalo. There is late intrigue. Game on here in Kissimmee. And New York's given themselves 5 minutes and change for a potential leveler. A wonderful goal. It all comes through the metronome Elias, who charges it forward, and Aravalo, great technique on this. A half volley that he just drives into the bottom left. And suddenly, New York has life. A 4th goal of the season for the creative winger out of North Bergen, New Jersey, who has been a regular on the wings all season. What a moment for that tally. It will get a little nervy over the remaining 5 minutes for OCB. Solis. Locker. Either side with their best firepower on the pitch. That makes these remaining 5 minutes so open and unpredictable. Elias. Bednarski. Does New York have a shock turnaround of its own in their locker tonight? Locker. Plenty of space. Can't quite pick out Kapanadze on the proper foot. It fell to Lopez and took a deflection out for a corner. There is an incoming storm that Orlando needs to weather. Outswinger this time. It's loose in the area. Haxeri can't find Bednarski. Gusky does enough to at least alleviate the danger for now. It has been the kind of match where chances have been frequent and often. Orlando has taken its opportunities slightly better. But New York has given themselves at least hope in the dying embers. Now a man down for OCB, as well as some extracurriculars between Kibanguchi and Kapanadze. It is Freeman who is prone on the pitch, the right back who's been a mainstay in the 11 this season for OCB. Remember the off-field treatment rule. Whenever a player stays down too long and they have to wave on the physios, that team has to play a man down. Fortunately for Freeman, not down enough for the referee to wave on the medical team. It's all in a plan to reduce gamesmanship, which is a huge consideration of MLS NEXT Pro. Many of the rules that they've applied have been used on a trial basis in MLS as well. It is for moments like these where they are most important. Here is Freeman. Turning on the afterburners, and still with Alex Freeman. Ran out of momentum. Cut back. Briefly loose in the area, with the attack losing steam rapidly for OCB. Final 90 seconds of the 90. New York still pushing. blocker. Petrasso. Loyola's unable to keep that in play. We are now in the final minute of the 90. Hearing word it will be 4 minutes of stoppage time, barring anything dramatic late. Orlando with about 5 more minutes altogether to weather. And since Aravalo's tally, they have found themselves parked in their own half. A once vaunted defense will be tested here in a key moment. Bednarski. Plenty of room. Shore. Unleashes. He took an awkward deflection, but into the welcome arms of Mercado. 4 minutes confirmed. And Carlos Mercado is now gripping his hamstring. It appears he may be cramping. One more change being ready for Orlando City. It will be Bernardo Goncalves.
Ladies and gentlemen, substitution for Orlando City B in added time.
He's going to replace Petrasso.
Luca Petrasso. He's replaced by number 60, Bernardo Ryan.
It's Goncalves who replaces Petrasso. And as things stand as well, Mercado being tended to. We are deep into stoppage time now. And you'd figure at least another minute will be tacked on by head official Mario Marich, who has kept it under control for large spurts to his credit. Mercado, though, due to the medical staff being on the pitch, he may actually have to vacate. In large part due to the off-field treatment rule. And that would get interesting if he does, because they can't just bring on a keeper to replace him. They'd have to be down to 10. They'll let him continue. So Goncalves replaces Petrasso at left back, and he immediately charges forward for this. Unable to latch onto it. New York will throw everything it has at the Orlando goal these final few minutes. Meyer way out of his box. Lofting it ahead. Bednarski is fouled. And this is a very inviting position for a set piece. Into the final minute of added time, although you figure given the injury to Mercado, we're probably playing to 95 plus. It is Chris Teo and Ronald Aravalo, the man who scored New York's most recent tally, standing over this. And this is the sweet spot for a set piece, especially for a righty. It's far enough out where the wall isn't bearing down on you. And you've also got plenty of different options to work with. Aravalo takes, and it didn't quite dip in time. Had plenty of altitude to it, and plenty of whip as well. but it just didn't get up and down quickly enough. And suddenly, New York finds their chances waning rapidly. It'd be a rare third straight match winless for the visitors if all holds. Elias. We are now beyond the 4 minutes. It is all at Mario Maric's discretion. Leong. Likely time for one more foray into the attacking third for New York. Lopez is bundled over, and Jackson Platts may be in trouble. And now some extracurriculars as well. Red card shown. It appears that was to Kapanadze for his reaction. The yellow was shown to the man that logged the challenge, Jackson Platts. New York down to 10 for the remainder of this. And Kapanadze is livid. He still needs to be calmed down by his teammates. And was there a retaliatory strike as well, because there's a New York man down? Lopez upended by Platts. He's still on the pitch. It was Kapanadze's reaction which put him on the red card list. And that yellow is shown to Platts. Well, some late game chaos here at Osceola Heritage Park. And all of the tension has bubbled over. Still waiting for Mario Maric to sort this whole situation out. We may have a second red come out in a matter of moments, because there was a conversation between the ref and his assistants. As things stand, though, Platts is still roaming the pitch. Here's the challenge which initiated everything. It is admittedly late, and then there is some late talking. And then it's Kapanadze who comes over and just bashes Platts in the face. That's what gets him a red. It was his retaliatory blow which gives him his marching orders. Platts, as things stand, is just on a yellow despite the ferocity of the challenge. All told, late chaos not befitting of a football match. So there was just the yellow on Platts to confirm. One final set piece for New York, down to 10 men. Hunting what would be an unlikely equalizer.
OCB number 61, Jackson Platts. And a red card has been issued to NYCFC 2, number 57.
Arevalo standing over this. Towards the back post. Headed away into the path of Ellis. And one back by Bednarski. Well beyond the 4 minutes of added time. And the referee seems content to let this play out. Elias. Lays it off. Locker to Shore. Lost his footing. Squirted out of danger. Meyer way off his line. Platts escorts out of danger. Was that New York's final chance? Long throw to Ellis, way out of danger. And there is the final whistle. Orlando limping over the finish line, but doing just enough to secure the 3 points. Goals by Sukata, Solis, and Mohamed. 3 of the better attackers make the difference as Orlando City B snags a massive victory in this Eastern Conference 6-pointer. There was late bad blood between Jackson Platts and Kapanadze. And that will certainly be settled in a couple weeks' time. Nicholas Kapanadze sent off late. Well, it is now time for our man of the match, and it is none other than Yutaro Sukata, presented by Adidas. A goal and an assist to his name tonight, and he picked it up by equalizing on the stroke of halftime in the 45th minute. You see him outwit 3 defenders, gets onto his right, charges it into the bottom left corner, and that's what kick-started the late sequence that put Orlando in front for good. And then from there, with a 2-1 advantage, the late assist, which provided the much-needed insurance. He is our man of the match, one of 3 goal scorers. Late bad blood between Platts and Kapanadze, but at the end of the day, Orlando securing a huge 3 points. For our entire MLS Next Pro broadcast crew, I'm Sam Goldfarb. Once again, our final scores are Orlando 3, New York 2. Have a great rest of your night, everyone.
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.